Hi, this is Maggie from Crafts the Charm. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I'm so glad you're here. This video is 5 of my favorite coastal crafts. These crafts are all easy, fun, inexpensive, and I love the way they all came out. Let's get right into it. For this first craft, I'm going to begin by making a little wooden frame. Now, you don't have to make the little frame. You could buy a little frame. I'm pretty sure there are little frames like this at the Dollar Tree. But to make this frame, I have these ruler paint sticks from Home Depot. They come 10 to a package, and they're very inexpensive. They're under $2. I don't remember how much they cost, maybe $1.50. And I'm making a square frame that is 6 inches on a side. So I'm going to cut 2 lengths that are 6 inches long each, and then I'm going to cut 2 more that are 6 inches minus the width of 2 of these paint stirrers. Those will fit on the inside. Then I'm going to cut some triangles to go on the inside of the frame in the corners to keep it square. And I don't have a good clamp for holding this together, so my method is simply to use wood glue on the ends of the pieces of wood and also on the edges of the triangles. Glue it all together and then hold it in place with painter's tape for about 24 hours while it dries. Now I want a crisp white look for this, so I'm going to paint the frame in Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color White Adirondack. Now, as this is a sort of shadow box frame, I'm going to cut a thick piece of corrugated cardboard to fit in the back. And I am going to make an insert for this, which is a nautical flag. Now, I'm making 4 of these to go together as a grouping. You could, of course, make however many you want, and you can make whatever flags you want. But I'm going to show you the 4 flags that I make. And the materials that I'm going to use for these flags are an old pair of jeans that were too ripped to donate, some canvas drop cloth, which is an off-white, and a piece of adhesive cork sheet from the Dollar Tree. But if you have cork that isn't adhesive, that's just fine, because we're going to glue this together. Now, these aren't going to be perfect replicas of the flags, because I'm going to be making them out of the jeans, the drop cloth, and the cork. So I'm just going to pick ways to put them together that I think are aesthetically pleasing. So I'm going to carefully measure each of the flags to figure out how big each of the pieces should be, and then I'll cut the pieces. And the first flag that I'm going to make is the alpha flag, but where there's a sort of a triangle cut out of this flag, I am going to put in one of my materials. Now, the cork has more depth to it than the 2 pieces of fabric. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of thin cardboard, what I call kitchen cardboard, just from like a cereal box, and I'm going to cut that to the shapes that I'm going to cover with fabric. And then I'll cut the jeans, or I'll cut the drop cloth large enough to cover that and fold over. And I'm just going to attach it on the back with white glue and with a little bit of masking tape. So for alpha, I'm using a thin rectangle of the jeans, and then for the piece with the triangle cut out of it, I'm covering that piece of cardboard with the drop cloth, and then for the triangle itself, I'm using the cork. And once I have the fabric covering the thin pieces of cardboard, I'm just going to glue all of those pieces, again using white glue, to the thick piece of cardboard which fits into the frame. Just put something heavy over that and let it dry completely, and then just press it into the frame. Now, you could choose flags based on your initials or the initials of people in your family, or perhaps another set of letters that spell out a word that has meaning for you. I picked mine for the aesthetics. I just wanted 4 different flags that looked different and that I thought would look nice with these 3 materials. So here's my second flag, which is Charlie. My third flag is Foxtrot. And my fourth flag is Echo or Kilo, depending on which way you orient it. And here are all four flags together. I love the weathered look of these three materials together. Our second craft was inspired by this art in a game called Design Home. So I don't know if this art actually exists in real life. It's digital art from the game, but I just love these seahorses made out of driftwood. So to make my own, I started in this kind of nasty section of my yard, and I just collected some sticks. The other material I need is corrugated cardboard, so I broke down some cardboard boxes. And then I just did my best to sketch out a seahorse shape, the size that I wanted, on a large flat piece of the cardboard. And the next step is just working with the sticks that you have to try to arrange them on the seahorse shape so that they are aesthetically pleasing. So just picking good size sticks that go together and cutting them to the right length. Once I had that basically figured out, I did cut out my seahorse, and because this is somewhat thin corrugated cardboard, I cut out two and glued them together. I then took my sticks and I used wood glue to glue them to the cardboard seahorse. With the wood glue, I did use a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place while the wood glue was drying. That way the sticks didn't move around as I applied other sticks. And you can see the basic pattern that I chose and the width of the sticks that I chose for the different parts of the seahorse. Now my sticks don't have bark on them, but they still don't really look like driftwood. So what I decided to do was first bleach them, and then I painted them with a little bit of watered down gray paint. This is because the bleach left them a little bit yellow. And the gray is just a color I mixed from black and white paint. I experimented a little bit with some pieces of wood that were left over before I tried the technique on the seahorse itself to make sure that I was getting a color that I liked. And here's the final seahorse. You can see I made him a little friend with some of the Nautical jute-colored twine, and I got that at the Dollar Tree. I'll include links to all of the original videos in the description and here in case you want to see all of the crafts in each video. Now, I just love this third craft. It's so inexpensive and it has such a big impact. So for this craft, you're going to need a pool noodle. I have one of the 4-foot pool noodles from the Dollar Tree here. And you're just going to cut the pool noodle the size of a small buoy. So looking at the diameter of the pool noodle, decide on a buoy size that seems to fit for that diameter. So my buoys I cut between 3.5 and 5 inches long each. And for me, I wanted a lot of variety, so I did cut them in different lengths, and I'm going to cut them different shapes as well. Once you have them cut out, measure down 1/3 to 1/2 of the length down the buoy, and we're going to taper it up to the top. I found this was easiest to do with a pair of scissors. Now, once you have your buoys, we're going to paper mache them. And I think that the best looking buoys were the ones that I paper macheed with Flex Bond and newspaper strips. But the Flex Bond is something that you should work with either outdoors or with a ventilator in a well-ventilated place. So it's not the best stuff or the safest stuff to work with. I certainly wouldn't work with it with children. I did a few buoys this way. The others I did with traditional paper mache, so just a little bit of white glue mixed with water with the strips of paper. Those were my least favorite. And then I did some with this product called Sculptamold, but I think you could simulate this by taking the newspaper and blending it with water in a blender, and maybe something like some tissue paper usually will help you get a better paper mache, or even some bathroom tissue. And that was my second favorite covering for the buoys. So I feel like the ones with the white glue, you could just see the shape of the newspaper a little bit too much. So the Sculptamold and the Flex Bond gave you a little bit of their own texture, and so you couldn't see the newspaper with the Flex Bond, and there is no newspaper with the Sculptamold. Now once they're dry, this is the fun part, and that's painting. So just pick colors that you want to paint them with and paint them however you want. You can see the way that I painted mine. You can also look at pictures online of real buoys to get ideas. But to start, you're just going to paint them in solid colors or colors with some stripes, and you might use a little painter's tape to help with that, get your stripes straight, and pick colors that go with your decor or colors that you just like. One thing I also did for some of them is I took some of these peel and stick letters, which I got at the Dollar Tree, and I put them on before I painted and then removed them, and this left some lettering on the buoys. They will have markings on them based on who owns them. Now, real buoys have seen some use generally, and they're pretty scuffed up. So once you've painted them all, they probably look a little bit too clean and new, and this contributes to them looking fake. So what I then did was I dabbed some gray paint over all of the buoys, and I also dabbed on a little bit of some of the other paint, as if when they were painted they touched each other, or they just paint rubbed off on them from either another buoy or a boat or something. So just to give them a worn look. And then I did paint some numbers and letters on some of them. And this is an area where you could pick some meaningful numbers and letters as a little inside joke if you want to. I just picked some random letters and numbers. And now if you are going to display these outside, I would use the Flex Bond as the paper mache method, and I would cover them with this Flex Seal, which will protect them against the elements. I finished mine off with some of this Nautical jute rope from the Dollar Tree, so I tied just a simple knot in the end and put the rope through, and then looped it around at the top, so each one has a knot at the bottom and a little loop at the top, and tucked that rope back into the top. And then I just tied a little bit of twine around the top. Now, if they have a really large opening, if it's too large for that knot to act as a stopper, just use a little bit of hot glue in there to get it to stick inside so that it doesn't pull through. And to display mine, I hung them from this fishing net, which I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I think you get a lot of impact out of these for something that's very inexpensive and awfully fun to make. Now this fourth craft couldn't be simpler. I picked up this lacy ribbon at the Dollar Tree. I got it in the floral section, but I've also seen it other places, like you can get it on Amazon. I hadn't seen it for a while, so maybe it's a spring or summer item because I've seen it back in a lot of different colors at the Dollar Tree now. And I also have this florist wire kit from Amazon, and you'll need a somewhat stiff piece of wire to do this. So you don't have to use wire from this kit, you just need a piece that's going to stand up by itself. And what I did was I created a sort of a shape by attaching pieces of this wire together, so branching shape. I'm going to make an imitation of fan coral. So to do that, I first need to paint this wire because this wire is brown, so I'm just going to paint it with a sort of off-white color. And then I'm just going to cut pieces of the ribbon and glue it to the wire. Now I have this beautiful vase, which I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and they have a similar vase now. I think it's slightly differently shaped, but very similar. And I'm going to use some of the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and pearls in different sizes. And I'm just going to coil the rope on the inside and mix in the pearls, and then arrange the fan coral in that. And that's it. I think it has a wonderful impact. It's both coastal and a little bit elegant at the same time. And our final craft is another easy one, and this is candle decor. So I had wanted to give my candles a little bit of a nautical look, and I needed to join the ends of rope together so that I could make a single rope circle or rope coil that went around the bottom of my candles. So to do that, you're going to use a whipping technique. Measure your rope to fit around the candle, and you can make it a little bit small because rope is going to be stretchy and you don't want it to be too big. So you can cut it a little bit small and then use a small piece of masking tape and tape the ends of the rope together. Then you're going to choose something to whip over that seam. Now you can use something like a white cotton so that it's relatively invisible, or you can use a contrasting color. For example, a navy blue is really pretty against the white rope and really nautical looking. So here I'm using some jute twine, which is another choice that gives you a nice nautical look. What you're going to do is cut a length of that, which is pretty long, I'd say, at least 24 inches. Make a loop with it and put the loop over the tape where the end of the loop extends over the end of the tape, so it goes a little beyond it. And then start wrapping around from the other end. Make sure you're covering all of the masking tape and you're wrapping over your loop. Once you reach the end of the loop, you're going to poke that end up through the loop and then tug on the other end. That's going to pull the loop under the wrapping that you just did. Then tug on both ends and then trim off both ends. So here's an example of the white rope with the navy blue whipping. And in this case, I've whipped it in 3 places. So not just where it covers up where the ends are joined, but just as a sort of decoration in multiple places around the rope. Now for this one, I've done the jute twine in 4 places, and now I have this burlap look ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut that to fit around the candle. And I'm just going to attach that with a little bit of masking tape on the inside so it's invisible. And then to finish that, there are all sorts of options. Like there are these little wood cutouts from the Dollar Tree, and some of those are in nautical or coastal themes. Or you could buy shells. They have shells at the Dollar Tree and other places, or maybe you've picked some up in your travels. I thought the little starfish was particularly cute, but I didn't want to use my little starfish, so I decided to make a faux starfish. So you can make a starfish out of a sponge. Here I have kitchen sponges, and I would cut those to make them thinner if I were going to use that, or you can use these scrub buddies, which are already very thin. And I'm just painting those with white acrylic paint, and then a little dot of hot glue to put it on the front of the burlap ribbon on the candle. I absolutely love that look. It just looks so sandy and coastal to me. It reminds me of the beach. My final candle is another sort of elegant one, and this is an actual candle, like it's an actual wax candle, which I don't remember what color it was originally, but I painted it in this sort of coastal blue color. You can see there are a few different colors in there. And I have this mesh bag, which the little sand dollars come in at the Dollar Tree. Also the little starfish, the little plastic starfish come in this bag. And I'm going to put the candle in this bag and then just put pearls around the bottom of the bag and then put the starfish inside the bag. So nothing has to be glued to the candle. It's all held in place by that plastic mesh. And I just love this look. I still have this candle out in my dining room a year later. And if you want to dress it up even further, you can wrap the top with a silver ribbon or a ribbon that matches your candle holder, or a white ribbon or a little bit of white string like I'm using here. And here are the different coastal candles. I hope you enjoyed this video. Did you have a favorite craft? Please tell me in the comments if so. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy this sort of content, please subscribe to Crafts the Charm. Thank you for spending time with me today. Take care.